All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Josie Malloy. I'm the President and CEO for the Grants Pass and Josephine County Chamber of Commerce. And we are excited to have Scott Richardson. He's a human resource consultant, and Todd Tippin, who is a business advisor with us. They're from BBSI and will be our presenters today, talking about human resource tips. We know as small businesses, you already have a lot on your plate. So keeping up with all the new mandates coming down from the state, guidelines and deadlines, it's a lot to keep track of. So we wanted to host this webinar with BBSI. So I'm going to turn it over to Scott and Todd to talk about some human resource tips. Welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen here. Hopefully this works out right. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, awesome. Well, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining this webinar, and it's a pleasure to have a chance to share with you some human resources tips. And hopefully this will be valuable for you. I know that your time is very valuable, so my goal is to hopefully add some kind of value to you, give you some information that you can use and apply and help your business to prosper. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. Well, first of all, I have to start off with a disclaimer, and I'm also going to start my timer too, so make sure I don't go over time. So the disclaimer is that the contents of this presentation have been prepared for educational and information purposes only. The content does not provide legal advice or legal opinions on specific matters. Transmission of this information is not intended to create, or receipt does not constitute a lawyer-client relationship between BBSI, its authors and publishers, and you. So you should not act or refrain from acting on any legal decision or legal-based decision based on the content without seeking professional counsel. So having said that, we're going to get started. Today, my goal is to help you understand some of the important compliance issues that are happening in the state of Oregon right now, and give you some tips that hopefully will be valuable to you and help your business to prosper. That is our mission at BBSI, to provide expertise and solutions to help our clients' businesses prosper. So first of all, we're going to start off with a compliance update in relation to Oregon Saves. We'll do a compliance update for minimum wage and what's happening in the state of Oregon with minimum wage increases. And we'll do a compliance update for paid leave Oregon, just a few minutes on what it is and some of the components of paid leave Oregon. And then I'm gonna just cover best practices on employee handbook, why they're important, why they're important for you, best practices on employee retention, best practices for building and maintaining company culture, and then for learning management and how learning management plays a part in all of these aspects of retaining employees, attracting talent, building a company culture that with a team that thrives along with your business. But first of all, Oregon Saves. So just a real brief background of Oregon Saves. It's a statewide retirement savings program that was introduced in July of 2017. When they, before they introduced this program, they did a survey and found that half of the workers in the state of Oregon lacked access to a retirement savings plan. So what this does is it provides workers in Oregon with an IRA, an individual retirement account that they can use in association with their employer as well as individually. Self-employed workers can sign themselves up directly through the website. And of course, it doesn't matter where an employee goes. If an employee moves from one employer to another, they still maintain that same Oregon Saves account. Now, there has been a mandate over the last several years. They have mandated, based on employer size, that employers must offer a retirement plan or offer Oregon Saves. March 1st of this year, they reduced that number down to 3 to 4 employees. So if your business now has 3 or more employees, you should be offering a retirement plan for your employees. And if you do not, you should be registered with Oregon Saves and be offering Oregon Saves to your employees. The next deadline is July 31st, and this is going to require every business in the state with more than 1 employee to either provide a 401k or a retirement plan that's qualified, or provide access to Oregon Saves so that employees can have their their contributions deducted from payroll and deposited into their Oregon Saves account. So again, just that compliance update for you. If you're, well, come July 31st, if you have 1 employee or more, you need to be providing an employer-sponsored retirement plan, or sign up for Oregon Saves and offer that. And the penalty for non-compliance with Oregon Saves is $100 per affected employee, up to $5,000 per year. That's, every little bit helps, or every little bit counts with a small business. So you definitely want to avoid those penalties and get into compliance if you're not now. And I will provide you with my information, my contact information, and feel free to call me, email me, text me if you have questions on how to get started, or if you have questions on retirement plans and options. Be happy to share information with you. Next, we'll be talking about minimum wage increase, which is coming in July 1st. Most of you are probably aware of this announcement that took place just a few weeks ago. Oregon's minimum wage will increase by 70 cents per hour on July 1st. This includes the 3 geographic areas. Portland metropolitan area will go up to $15.45 an hour. Standard counties or non-rural counties will go from $13.50 to $14.20. And rural counties will go from $12.50 to $13.20. Here's a map where you, everybody on this call should reside in one of these counties. Josephine and Jackson County, I would assume most of you are in those counties, which is considered a standard county. And the minimum wage rate will go up to $14.20 there. The rural counties will go, like Klamath and Douglas, will go to $13.20. And just so you know, penalties for violations with minimum wage. Employers can face civil penalties up to $1,000 for each violation. So you'd want to make sure that you're in compliance with this minimum wage increase come July 1st. For some of you, this date may fall in the middle of a pay cycle for you. So you want to kind of be prepared to make sure that you're doing your calculations. If part of your wages are with the old rate and part of with the new rate, you want to make sure that you're prepared to do those calculations on your payroll. We'll talk about Paid Leave Oregon. This has been a big initiative in 2023. Most of you, or hopefully all of you, know that Paid Leave Oregon is a job protected paid leave program through the state of Oregon. It is funded by employee and employer contributions. Those contributions started January 1st of 2023. This applies to all organizations in the state of Oregon who are not a tribal organization and who are not a government agency. All other employers, no matter what size, should be contributing to the paid leave organ and or have their own equivalent plan, which is a third-party plan that's outside of paid leave organ, but it's a qualified plan. And just again, if you have any questions regarding paid leave organ, feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to share with you information, including on how to get started or how to do an equivalent plan and how to apply for that. But paid leave organ, like I said, is a job protected leave, and it provides 4 types of leaves for Oregon employees. It provides medical leave to care for your own serious health condition, family leave caring, leave to care for a family member with a serious health condition, family leave bonding or family bonding leave. This is leave to bond with the covered individual's child during the first 12 months after birth or the first 12 months after placement of a child for adoption or foster care. And then it also provides leave for health and safety related to domestic violence, harassment, sexual assault, stalking experienced by an individual or an individual's minor child or dependents. Now, please keep in mind that these leaves are also not just for the employee. They could be, an employee can be taking a leave to care for a family member, which includes a domestic partner, and there's a wide list of what is considered family members in this paid leave organ law. Here's just a chart that compares paid leave Oregon to Oregon Family Leave Act and the Family Medical Leave Act, and then Oregon Sick Leave. So these are all laws in the state of Oregon. Paid leave Oregon and OFLA and FMLA and Oregon Sick Leave are all laws that employers have to follow based on your employee size. So you can kind of compare, and you'll get these notes after this presentation so you can see this chart and have access to it. It does get confusing, so this is very helpful. But paid leave Oregon, again, is job protected leave. It'll provide up to 12 weeks of paid leave at an employee's. The benefit is based on the wage of the employee. The closer to minimum wage the employee is, the higher those benefits, or the closest to their full average weekly wage it'll be. If you're a highly compensated employee, those benefits will be approximately 65% of your average weekly wage. All right, we're going to switch gears, and also just so you know, on the paid leave Oregon, the Oregon Employment Department will assess a penalty equal to 1% of the employee wages in the previous calendar year if the employer is not deducting the employee's contribution, which is 0.6% of their wage each pay period. Those deductions should be sent in to be applied to the paid leave Oregon fund. And if that's not happening, please, again, contact me. I'll be happy to help you through the steps of getting compliant with this law. Employee handbook. So an employee handbook is important because it sets clear expectations for employees. It lets employees know what it is that you as an employer are expecting of them. It reduces uncertainty. A handbook should have clear and concise language about who the company is, what your mission is, what your core values are, what your goals are. It also welcomes new employees. It affirms company values. So that communication tool is really vital for employees to understand the company that they're joining. It provides consistency and fairness. A handbook is, it's so important to be consistent and fair throughout an organization, and a handbook provides that consistency as managers and supervisors adhere to those policies. They know the handbook, they know the policies within them, and they use the handbook to enforce those policies. And a good, well-written employee handbook provides proof that you as an organization have communicated what's expected, the work rules, the policies and procedures of your organization. And with that proof is an acknowledgement that you want every employee to sign when they are onboarded or when the handbook is changed. You want to republish it and have each employee sign an acknowledgement that they've read it and they understand it, and they're in agreement to the handbook. The handbook also provides efficiency in that it allows managers, supervisors, employees to have a place to turn to quickly to get firm policies and procedures. And it offers protection for you as an employer, as well as to the employees too. It gives guidance, it gives chain of command on how to report incidents, and it protects you as an employer to ensure that you are communicating what needs to be communicated to your employees. So what should an employee handbook include? Well, a good employee handbook will include an employment at will disclaimer. It's going to provide an equal employment opportunity non-discrimination statement. It should have wage and benefit information. It should have grievance procedures. It should have your disciplinary policy. Do you have a progressive discipline policy? What does that look like? That should be in your handbook. Along also with language stating something to the effect of the management, it is at the discretion of management to bypass any of these the disciplinary policies based on the severity of the incident. Language like that is very important. Your drug and alcohol policy. Are you a drug-free workplace? That policy is vital. Do you do reasonable suspicion drug screens? You need to have a policy in there that that gives you that ability to do reasonable suspicion drug screens, and it notifies employees that that's part of your policy. Your dress code, what is expected of employees and how they should dress in the workplace and in front of clients and customers, and your expectation for employees' off-duty conduct. Technology and email policy. Social media policy has become very important these days, as social media has become just such a big part of our lives. How do you handle employees getting on social media and talking about your business? Your social media policy should give those guidelines. And here's some best practices for handbooks. In an employee handbook, you should keep the tone positive, professional, and understandable. You should avoid legal jargon as much as you possibly can, or confusing terminology. You should keep a copy of the handbook readily available to all employees. You should retain employee acknowledgments in their personnel file. Can't stress that importance enough to make sure that employees sign an acknowledgement and that those acknowledgements are retained for a variety of purposes, but really to prove that the employee has been given the handbook and has read it and understands it and agrees with it. A handbook should include contact information for the company representatives available to answer questions. It should promptly communicate updates to employees. So in other words, whenever you do an update and you create a new policy and put it in the handbook, you need to update that, republish it, and make sure that all employees sign the acknowledgement form. And then make sure all supervisors and managers know the handbook well, including all the policies. I've seen companies with supervisors who just don't even have a copy of the handbook, don't even know where to get one. And the employee handbook can be a supervisor or a manager's best friend because they can refer to the policy and not have to just come up with their best version of policies as they remember them. All right, we're going to switch gears to attracting and retaining top talent. So these are some things that in this day and age, you know, the workplace is changing. There's expectations that are new since COVID. We have, you know, new generations coming up, joining the workforce, and they have different tendencies and preferences and the way that they work. So this relates to attracting and retaining those people as well as all generations. But leadership, when employees come into an organization, they want to know what leadership is, and they want to see that the leadership of the organization is accessible to them. They want to see that there's career growth, that there is career pathing for them to be able to grow and develop in their careers. And those career growth opportunities need to be communicated so that employees or people who are interviewing and being onboarded see and understand that there's opportunities for career growth. They need to understand the mission and the purpose of the company and the job that they're doing and how it relates to that mission and purpose. Feeling a sense of purpose, feeling that you're a part of the mission of your organization is vital to being able to attract and retain talent. Creative thinking. Creative thinking has become a big part of the workplace. There are lots of people out there who really enjoy being creative. And so having a culture and a workplace that encourages creative thinking and rewards creative thinking in terms of improving processes and procedures for the company, improving processes and procedures for clients and customers, and even getting involved in the community. And of course, giving back. It's important to employees to have to be able to make a contribution and to be able to give back. And so philanthropic endeavors are important to employees, and it's nice for an organization to provide opportunities for employees to give back. Problem solving, giving employees the autonomy to be able to solve problems on their own is also really important. That autonomy and that flexibility of an organization is vital for people feeling like they have that, you know, that they can make a contribution. Innovation. This has become a big part of corporations and organizations, is the ability to innovate and encouraging innovation. There's one company that I know that has what they refer to as an innovation lab, and they allow employees to spend time in that lab working on projects that are going to hopefully enhance the organization and bring improvements and process improvements and so forth. So innovation, we all know, is very important in an organization. Professional development is vital in attracting and retaining top talent. And we'll go into professional development in a bit here, more in depth. Recognition and rewards are very important. It's important to recognize and reward employees, both monetarily rewarding as well as Non-monetary rewards, more recognition, that goes a long ways. And then, of course, teamwork and team building. Teamwork and team building makes people feel like they're a part of something, a part of a group of people, a part of a mission, and it really does make a big difference in being able to attract and retain top talent. And some other retention strategies are offer competitive base salaries or hourly wages, let your employees work from home, provide flexible scheduling and reduced work days. We have some clients who've recently switched to a 4-day work week, 10 hours instead of a five-day, 8 hours. They went to a 4-day, 10-hour, and employees tend to really like that 3-day weekend. So that is, it's something creative that you can do to kind of set yourself aside from the competition. Encourage and promote work-life balance. Everybody knows it's hard to manage work and work life and personal life. So encouraging employees to manage a healthy work-life balance is really important, and it goes a long way. Helps employees to know that you care. Recognize and reward your employees for their work. Again, recognition and rewards are really important. Build employee engagement, making sure that supervisors, managers are engaged with their teams. They're doing goal setting exercises. They're doing team building exercises. They're touching base with their team members regularly and keeping them engaged. And create an emphasis on teamwork. Again, that's part of that engagement. Reduce employee burnout. Again, goes back to build employee engagement, creating emphasis on teamwork, supervisors being aware of what their teams are doing, and everybody kind of watching out for each other. It helps to reduce employee burnout. Provide wellness offerings, very important. Fostering that a growth in other professional and personal development is very important. So moving on to company culture. Okay, work culture is powerful, and your culture is your brand. Your culture can impact sales, profits, recruiting efforts, and employee morale, whether positively or negatively. So company culture is vital. And, you know, it kind of goes along with handbooks and retention and attracting and retaining. It's all part of your company culture, which is a part of your employer brand. Here is a toxic company culture: disrespect, unethical behaviors, abusive managers, job insecurity, burnout, lack of recognition, poor responses to natural disasters or things like COVID go a long way in communicating that your employees and your teams are important. Here are 5 pillars of company culture, and these 5 pillars are belonging. Employees want to feel a sense of belonging. They want to belong to something important. It's vital to the emotional, the social well-being of employees to feel like they belong to a team. Employees want to feel like they're making a contribution and that their jobs are important to the mission and vision of the company. They want to see that what they're doing is making a contribution to the greater the goal of the company. Flexibility, enabling your workforce to have some autonomy in making decisions, in deciding how work is done, giving them that ability to be creative and come up with better solutions on doing things is really important. And equitability, making sure that people are treated equally, that there is fairness and consistency is vital for company culture. And of course, growth mindset. People want to know that they're a part of a company or an organization that is growing, that is succeeding, and that there are opportunities for growth and development within that organization. Company culture best practices. People want to feel respected. They want supportive leadership. They want to see their leaders' actions align with core values and demonstrate ethical behavior. People want managers who are compassionate, humble, and supportive. People want competitive compensation, benefits, and perks and amenities. And even just little things, little perks and amenities really go a long way. People want opportunities for learning and professional development. This has been a recurring theme through this presentation, the importance of offering professional development for your workforce. People, of course, want job security. They want to feel like that their jobs are secure. And people want transparency and clear communication. Communication is vital. The more communication and the more clearly communication is happening within an organization, the better. All right, switching gears to learning management. So here's just some statistics for you. 68% of workers consider training and development an organization's most important policy. Companies have that invest in training have a 24% higher profit margin. Learning and training at a workplace are important to 87% of millennials. So if you want to attract millennials to your organization, you want to definitely provide professional development. Employee retention rate grows by 30 to 50% at companies with a potent training program, and that's a key word there, potent. You can have training programs, but if they're not effective, you're wasting your money. And there's a lot of money wasted out there by companies who try to implement training programs, but just don't do it effectively. 94% of employees would stick with an organization longer if it invested in their training. And 74% of workers consider lack of development programs as the reason they're not unlocking their full potential. Learning management best practices. Identify your audience and performance challenges before you begin. You want to really identify the problem, the skills that you're trying to skill up your workforce, and ensure that the training that you're providing really is providing those skills that you're wanting. You want to create a plan for mobility, flexibility, and accessibility, especially in the work environment that we're now in. We have a lot of mobile workers. And so, you know, all employees need to have access to learning and professional development. So having a program that allows all employees to have access is vital. Leverage rich media, interactive activities, and engaging script. You want to make sure that your training programs are stimulating, that they are appealing to all work and learning styles, and that it is engaging. It does pull them in, and it is interactive. And then, of course, you want to incorporate assessments to test your employees' knowledge and make adjustments based on the training that you're providing. You want to do surveys. You want to ask employees, get their feedback on how effective the training was, and use that feedback to bring it back in and to improve your learning management system. This is it. This is my presentation. Again, This was very brief. It was really scratching the surface on each of these areas. I hope that that this has been valuable for you and you've been able to get some tips on these compliance issues, as well as handbooks and retention and learning management and culture. And so without further ado, and again, please, any of you who are on this call, my information is provided here. You can contact me. This is my email address, my phone number. Feel free to text me, call me, and I'll be happy to walk you through any of these things that we've talked about today. Just want to help you and get you compliant if you're not quite compliant with some of these things, and just I'm happy to help.
Thank you, Scott. That was great. And I'll just add, as the Chamber of Commerce, we've actually been working with Scott and Todd a lot. Right now, we are even updating our handbook, and we also talked a lot about Oregon Saves and figured out a retirement plan for the Chamber. So please reach out to these guys. They're very helpful, easy to work with. And at this time, does anyone have any questions that they want to ask? You can raise your hand, or you can even put your question in the chat box.
Josie, might this be a good time for us to provide the contact information for Scott in case somebody has questions they want to reach out to him in person?
Yeah, absolutely. Scott and Todd, did you guys want to provide more contact information?
Let's see, sharing. I will. We'll provide the notes that I did, the PowerPoint notes, and which has my contact information in them. And again, I can't emphasize enough. If you're struggling with any of these areas, please feel free to contact me. This is what I do every day. I've been doing HR for 25 years, and this is my expertise. And we want to make sure that you out there are focusing on your core business. There's so much happening out there in the way of regulations, and it's hard to keep tabs. So feel free to use me as a resource anytime. I'm happy to provide you with any information and tips related to HR.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, Mark, go ahead.
I got actually a couple questions. Number one is you said that for paid leave Oregon, that the lower minimum wage people will be getting more of the, like, close to 100% of the benefits. And
Yes.
You said the higher salaried people, 65%. Is there a draw line on what that number is? Say 40,000, 50, 60,000. I don't know. Is there a number there?
I think highly compensated employees are considered over 100,000, and I can send you a booklet on paid leave Oregon. I can give you some information. There is a scale, but I believe that highly compensated are around 100,000, and those people will get closer to 65% of the benefit.
Okay. And oh, my second question just went right out of my head. I'll come back to it. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
Mark, while you're thinking of that question, I put in the chat Scott's email address and phone number. If any of you have any questions, want to reach out and contact him.
Thank you, Todd.
Todd and Steve,
Scott.
do you have a question?
I did. I just wanted to say, first of all, Scott, that was a very informative presentation. In 45 minutes, you did a really good job. So thank you.
Thank you.
I was curious, I see we're recording this. Is it possible that will be available for playback, Josie, at a future date?
Yes, we'll have it available. I'll send it to every attendee, and then we'll also have it on the Chamber YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. So it'll be available. You can share it to anyone you think that would get value out of it.
Great,
I
thank you.
remember my second question now. So unless Steve's done. Are you done, Steve? Okay. So I have read in a couple of other different articles that employers are now wanting their people to come back to work, being in the office doing things instead of more working at home situation. Have you seen anything like that, or can you address that situation?
I mean, it really just depends on the organization and if how effective mobile work can get done. Like, of course, manufacturing, there's going to be a lot less mobile workers. So I think it really more depends on the nature of the work that's being done, and the effectiveness of that work being able to be done mobily. There's been talk about, since COVID is kind of settled somewhat, and we're kind of back, to normal. Well, we'll never be back to normal, but there have been companies that have decided to pull back on mobile work and get people more in the office, because there is a lot to be said for that team building component in the culture. Is, as you can see, it plays a huge part in being able to attract and retain employees and have a culture where people can thrive. And so, being able to balance that with mobile work, with people coming in the office, I think is probably finding that happy medium, is going to be dependent on every different organization based on their needs.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we do have a question in the chat. It says, does Oregon Saves apply to contractors?
Oregon Saves can apply to contractors. 1099, you can opt in if you want benefits. If you're a 1099 contractor, if you want those benefits of paid leave Oregon, you have to pay that contribution. If you don't want the benefits, then you don't have to.
All right, any other final questions? All right, great. Well, thank you, Scott. That was very helpful. And yes, Shannon, we will share the slides as well. So you'll each get a copy of that too. And just so everyone knows, we are going to have more webinars. So our next webinar will actually be May 23rd at noon. And we'll be talking about risk and safety. As most of you know, there was some different heat and smoke rules that came out last year. We'll be touching base on that, but some other topics around risk and safety. So I hope you will join us. It'll be the same format, and BBSI will be back here. And Steve, did you have another question?
No, I just wanted to say thank you again, and I'm going to go do something else, but thank you.
All right. Well, thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
all.
We really appreciate it. And thank you, Scott and Todd. This was very helpful, and we appreciate you.
You're very
Josie,
welcome.
Yeah, it's always our pleasure to work with the Grants Pass Chamber of Commerce, Josie.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Josie, what day was that? May what?
May 23rd.
May 23rd. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
everyone.
Thanks, Mark.